Shalom. Akim, Akwakim. Just give us 1 second. Just pulling up everything. How y'all brothers and sisters doing tonight? Or in the evening, you know? Shalom, brother. Yeah, that brother. Shalom. You know, we got the brother to the left of Yashi's working on his live stream too. Esau's doing this thing. You know, Esau's technology, it tweaks. Yeah, man. Okay.
That's all good. Man, record.
Okay.
We got yours.
Okay.
All right. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Ba'ashem, Kakodash, Barakalawa, Wayashal, Waya, Sapaya, Bakasha, the water.
All right. Hey, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKodash. Everyone, your double honors to our apostles, great millstone, Ruel, and peace and blessings to the house of David the elect. I was a Zahab to my left. All right.
And we're GMS Mississippi Camp, and this is a response, all right, to the elder, Elder Apostle Gabar. You know, he just did a live stream going to reclaim, your masculinity, man. Because as men, especially our generation, we came up in a society that was heavily, in the energy, the Queen of Heaven, man. Heavy into women worship, heavy into exalting, women and debasing men, demonizing men, belittling men. That's a society that we was brought up in, and the things that Esau taught us to have self-worth in, was degenerate shit. The thug culture, nigger culture, or athletes, or assimilating, to an Edomite. Those are things that, Esau, Edom, taught us to have, value in, as men, all right, which was really, debasing us, man. But now that we have this knowledge, all right, now we're being groomed, back into their true masculine energy, man, because true masculine energy comes from the Bible. We're going to get some precepts and we're going to get some accounts, to prove it. What you got, bro?
Isaiah 46:8. Remember this and show yourselves men. Bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors. All right?
Read again, bro.
Yeah, Isaiah 46:8. Remember this and show yourselves men. Bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors.
Yep. Remember and show yourselves men. That's one of the first things we have to do within this ministry, man. Remember ourselves men. Because this is a platform, where men are the head. Because all these other sects of society, they put women, equal or above the men. But see, within this ministry, we have to remember ourselves men, because there's some serious decisions have to be made, and when it comes to serving Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, he's dealing with the men. All right, the heavy decision making within the nation is going to come from the men, and we have to tap in that masculine energy, because in this society, you're taught to be persuaded, by the opinion of a woman, and we're going to get two examples from the two, most, all right, alpha male, entities there is, man. When you go to Solomon, which was Yahushua, and when you go into King David, all right, those are two most alpha male spirits, really created, under the Most High, and we're going to get them accounts, on how they handle, women, including their mother, all right, and the wives, man, you know, and it's for the benefit of the nation. You see, they call it toxic masculinity because under a man, all right, that has masculine energy, all right, what they call an alpha male, a woman can't do what she want to do. Mm-hmm. So they call it toxic, you know, because you have a standard. Really, they saying a standard is toxic, mm-hmm. you know, because this is a society, you know, that's taught, you know, women to do what? Do as thou wilt. You see? But the scripture tell you, what's that? You had something, bro?
1 Corinthians 11.
Yeah, you can get that order. Yeah.
All right. Yep. 1 Corinthians 11:3.
Yep.
But I will have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man,
yep.
and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High.
Yep, and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High. The head of the woman is the man. You see, there's an order according to the scripture. There's a hierarchy, man. You know, but Esau, Edom, he has replaced the hierarchy because he put himself as the Most High. Mm-hmm. He put his technology mm-hmm. as the Messiah, and he puts the woman under the technology. Then it's the man. Yep. Well, really, it's the children, then the man. Because in this society, the man is dead last in the society. Yep. You see that energy, you know, because all them TV shows are programming us to be beta, man. Yep. You go into the Family Matters, yep. you know, Fresh Prince. Yep. You know, this Big Jake. Yep. You know, he's bowing down. You know, Vivian get mad, he curl up. Yep. You see?
Cosby Show.
The Cosby Show. You know, he's the main one. That's why you see his end, man. You see? But that energy, all right, has helped destroy a nation, man. You see, it's masculine energy that builds a nation and guides a nation and puts that shield around the nation, man. Because the elites, they push, you know, this confusion, that beta male energy, but the elites, they don't run empire like that.
No, it's not a matriarch in there.
No, it's a patriarch. When you go into the elites, you know, when you go into the banking families, it's within the will. Mayor Amshar Bauer, which he's the first one to change his name to Rothschild. You know, Mayor Amshar Rothschild, he got in his will that a woman cannot participate in the family business, man. You know, that's within their will. And do you see that their empire is global now? You see? By keeping women out, it's in wickedness, you see, but they're continually forwarding and growing their legacy, all right, based off one of those main principles. Mayor Amshar Rothschild said, look, no woman can participate in the family business, man, because a woman is not capable, all right, of expanding empires. She can help maintain it. A woman has a vital role, and we're understanding that now. A woman has a real vital role, and it's a beautiful role, and it complements, all right, the masculine energy of a man, you know? But she's not meant to be at the forefront making decisions, you know, about the direction of the nation. But see, in this society, Esau has set that up, man, because the black culture is nothing but the opinion of black women. Mm-hmm. When you look at the standards, or the lack of standards within black culture, it's all about the opinions of the nigga woman. You got it, bro.
Back in Isaiah.
No, get that. What's that? Liberty gat abroad. What's this? Some rock.
Give another drunk woman liberty to gat abroad.
Yep.
So 26.
Because in this society, all right, it's basic, you know, standard for a woman to do what she want to do. And that's why women, a lot of our women of our culture, you know, of our nation, don't want to get married because they don't want to hand over their liberty. You see? Go ahead.
This is the one I got. I think you're talking about a different one. All right, Sirach 26 and 8. Sirach 26 and 8. A drunken woman and a gatter abroad causes great anger, and she will not cover her own shame.
Yeah, and we see that's the result of the majority of our women today. You know, look at the pictures that they take on social media. Look at when they go live what they're talking about. There's no shame when they're out in public. You know, you're in a restaurant, you know, it's a table full of nigga women, it's loud, you hear vulgar, you know, sexual, you know, explicit language. You see? And then they want us to pair with that. It don't match, man. That's masculine, man. You know, masculine energy don't match with masculine energy, man. You know, but this society is so confusion. You know, it's so, you know, engulfed in confusion. You see, when true masculinity is on the scene, what they call it toxic, or they can't deal with it, man. But that's coming back. That's what we stepping into, man. This beta shit that's over with, man. Even dealing with our mothers, man. All right, the way that we, cause see, really, even J. Cole, we talking about the other day. He said we was raised by a mother, so we gotta heal because we was taught to look at life through the eyes of a woman, man.
And that's why if you go back even 100 years, 80 years, 70 years, 60 years, when Jake was in charge, all right, we had our own neighborhoods, man, because the nature of a man is to build.
Yep.
So even when we were under Esau's paws or claws, we were within his claws, right? Men own stores within the neighborhood.
Yep.
All right, men taught their sons and the young men trades and skills.
Yep.
But the woman, she doesn't teach you how to build. She really just teach you to conform to Esau's way of living.
That's all she can do.
That's all she can fucking do. So her whole thing is go get your diploma and go get you a degree or go join the military. But at least when the so-called black man was the head of his own household, for one, he dominated his children. All right, so his sons weren't niggas, but then they learned the skill. And since we were segregated, they brought that same skill back to their own environment.
Yep.
Something that we could never do right now with this matriarch in our environment, man.
Yep.
All right.
And this word is healing us from that.
Yep.
You see, this word is healing us from those wounds of low self-esteem, those wounds of being insecure as a man. That's why as a man, a man is supposed to be excited about any attention from a female. He's just supposed to be overjoyed, to have any attention from a female, man. That's off, man. That's completely backwards, man.
She looking at me.
Yeah.
She text me. She like my picture.
Yeah. The hell with that, man. You see, and that's why the Lord put the spirit on us to just fade to the background, man, and watch this place fall, man. This ain't for us, man. All right, we come from a different breed. The house of David come from a whole different breed than what you see in the earth, man. And another thing about masculine energy, man. Hey, you would rather go without, than to conform. Or to what a woman call herself settling. No.
How are you a woman with knowledge talking about your settling?
Yeah.
Realistically, if a man gets with you, he's settling.
Yeah.
Because your worth is not your degrees. Because they think that their worth is in their degrees because those women are in a masculine frame.
Mm-hmm.
So your worth is not your accomplishments in Esau's world. Your worth is really your femininity.
Your purpose. The brother from GMS Myrtle Beach, I forgot the brother's name. If you know the brother's name, y'all can post it. But the brother had did a lesson called "Your value is in your purpose."
Mm-hmm.
You see, your value comes from the purpose that you was intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
You see, whatever you was created to do, that's your value.
That's why women had such high esteem about giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jacob's wives.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole thing was, I'm barren,
Samuel mother.
Yep.
Sarah.
Yep.
See,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's about. Yeah, the brother you won. The brother put the video up called your value comes from your purpose.
No.
See, a woman's value is her purpose around the household, her purpose, at being a wife and a mother. You see? And the man's value comes from what? His wisdom in running and managing, a household, making moves to increase and expand the household. You see? So, and then ultimately as an Israelite man, it's his relationship and his connection with Yahweh Shem Al Shai. That's the first and foremost, all right, the value that a man has. You see? So your value comes from your purpose, man. Now that we attach to our purpose, we understand our value. And it ain't nothing to pride. It is what it is, man. A lion can't walking around, not knowing his self-worth, not knowing his value. No, he fully knows, all right, that he's a top predator, He knows, all right, that, hey, when it's time to get down, all right, if I had to, I'd kill a giraffe if I need to. you know, to feed the pride. The woman can't get it done, you know, I step in, you know. So at the end of the day, we have, you know, came into knowing our self-worth, you know, and we still humbly pray that we be delivered, man. You know, we not, you know, we got this spirit like we made it, or, you know, we look down our nose at people, even at women, you see. But see, we understand that, like we were talking about, America is so low value, you know, it's a lot of things that don't even interest us here anymore, man. You know?
Because sometimes sex itself, certain women, they can't entice you with sex. Because it's like, well, what am I have to go through to get this?
It ain't worth it.
But it should, your dealings with a woman was traditionally never supposed to have been solely on sex.
Yep.
So really, when women come at you with that angle, truth be told, they're really trash.
Yep.
That's the thing you don't hear a lot on mainstream media, that there's a such thing as a woman being trash, man.
Yep.
All right, she has no standards. All right, she has no boundaries. All right, she deals with people based off fickle or shallow standards, shallow attraction. You're trash.
Yep.
How can it? Why would I be excited that I got? Not that we just trying to down women, but why would we be excited that we got you if everybody got you?
Yeah.
Why do you think we don't celebrate Columbus Day?
Yeah.
Because nigga, people been here.
Yeah.
So why would we be excited that we got it when everybody else already had it?
Yep.
You know?
And that's another thing, like, you know, as going back into our masculine energy, like I say, we not, you know, because society puts you in the, like you'll be a part of the woman's fan base.
Yep.
You know, like I say, you're happy to be selected. Man, fuck this shit, man. You know? I'm gonna get that self-worth, get 2 Samuel 2. 2 Samuel 2, and we start at 13. We'll get to the point. I'm gonna get that self-worth. Like this is self-worth on the Google. All right, it says self-worth is the eternal sense, all right, from within of being good enough and worthy of love, belonging, all right, from others. All right, self-worth is often confused with self-esteem, which relies on external factors such as successes, achievements to define worth, and can often be inconsistent, leading to someone struggling with feeling worthy, you know, because our self-worth doesn't come from the achievements within this society, man. You see, we the sons of Yahweh Shema Shai. Yahweh Shai, our big brother, man. You know, we finna get opened up to everything. You see, if we stay the course, we on the path to get everything, the best of the best, man. We don't have to settle for this low grade shit, man. You know? But society has beat men down so bad that men just have to settle and deal with all these random ass situations. No, man, that's over, man. Yeah. All right? We're going to wait it out for the best of the best, man. We're going to wait it out till when Yahweh Shai conquer the earth, you see, in righteousness, and we're going to spoil the earth, man. And we're going to pick out the top tier of what we want, man.
You know, if I could just make this statement again, bro. You know, we was talking about that word epicure.
Yep.
You know, an epicure, that goes back to Epicurean, but an epicure, it goes back to somebody, they have discriminating taste when it comes to basically the finer things in life. Food and wine. Something I know is about the brothers in this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. They develop a ruling class appetite. And somebody that has a ruling class appetite, they're perceptive to quality. See, now we've been revealed these heavenly gifts, and we've been revealed the kingdom. All right, we're perceptive to quality.
Yep.
That means we only deal with quality.
Solomon ate on gold.
And if it wasn't gold, they went, if a fly, what is it, if a fly landed on it? Yeah. So in this kingdom, we're not settling. We're just going to have to wait till the kingdom.
Yep.
We're not going to deal with the trash. Like in slavery, we have to eat that bullshit because that's all we had.
Yep.
No, we're not doing that again, man.
You get it, yeah, Sam. Now, this is when Samuel, you know, went, it's like this is when King David went and defeated the Philistines and got the Ark of the Covenant back. All right, so they went to war. You know, the Most High, you know, was with David. They went to war. They went and got the Ark back. So David is coming back and he's celebrating. with the ark. He's dancing, he's enjoying himself, man. He's a mighty man, just went to war, just was victorious in the name of Yahweh by Shema Shai. He got the ark back, so now he's dancing on the way back, But you got it, bro.
2 Samuel 6:13. And it was so that when they that bare the ark of Yahweh had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before Yahweh with all his might. And David was girded with a linen ephod. And David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of Yahweh with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. And as the ark of Yahweh came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before Yahweh, and she despised him in her heart.
So this was Saul's daughter, who was given to David, by Saul. So she's seeing David come back dancing, and she despised him. He's enjoying himself, all right? He just came from war. His life on the line. What you think? In ancient world war, hey, there was some gruesome, some real rigorous. It ain't like now you got somebody flying a drone from a control room. No, they was on the front line getting it in, man.
Gore.
Yeah. Seeing death up close, you putting, who knows the feeling of putting a sword through somebody and bringing it back, man, and moving on to the next, man. So here it is, he getting down. He done went through there. He's coming back. He got the Ark of the Covenant, which is a victory for the nation. And he's dancing, and all she can think about is some simple shit, man. She despised David. So let's see how David handled her, man. Go ahead.
2 Samuel 6:17.
Yep.
And they brought in the ark of Yahweh and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it.
Yep.
And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Yahweh.
Go ahead.
And as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of Yahweh of hosts. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men. To everyone a cake of bread and a good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his house.
So David came back and had a big feast, man, with everybody. They said the cake, which that was a delicacy, Then you had a good piece of flesh, probably the best choice lamb.
Because you know what, you go to a restaurant, it's different grades of lamb, different parts of that steak that they cut, and based on the part they cut, man, it could get real expensive, man. All right, second sentence.
And the flagon of wine.
Yep.
They balling. The whole nation
balling.
Balling.
Everybody eats.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So all the people departed, everyone to his house. Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, "How glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovered himself."
Yeah, so when David was dancing, hey, the ride probably slipped out. But here it is. You gotta picture this, man. I just came back from war, got the Ark of the Covenant. I done balled with the nation. Everybody good, everybody was cheering David, because David already had a fan base. They was already on you, boy. So here it is. He does all that. Then he come back to his house, and he bless his household. And then the woman, she probably, with that face, you see.
And she might have been slick jealous. She might have seen the reaction of different women looking at him.
Yep.
I'm not saying that happened, but just put myself there.
That's what it was, because it's gonna go into it.
Yep.
You see, just like Aisha Curry.
Yep.
She says she doesn't get the attention that Steph Curry get. What sense do that make? What the hell sense do that make? See, a woman in this society, a lot of women want the glory of men. That's why you will get like women, even when you go back in the ancient world, the reason why particular women are trying to put their son on the throne so they can rule through them. They'll try to rule through them, or a woman to get a beta male that got something going on so she can really run his structure through him. That's a lot of women are jealous of the glory that men have, but they don't want the responsibility that the men got though.
She didn't go off the battle.
Yeah. You know?
Aisha Curry went at the gym not one time.
No, she ain't went through none of that. You see? So now, all right, you dealing with David, you know she was jealous of that attention, man. You know? But this is we're gonna go into how you handle her, man. Go ahead.
And David said unto Michael, it was before Yahweh which chose me before thy father and before all his house to appoint me ruler over the people of Yahweh, over Israel. Therefore will I play before Yahweh.
You know, so first David snapped. You know, you gotta really look at what's being said. He snapped because first off, David was meek. Like you understand how David was, like he had plenty opportunity to kill Saul, he didn't do it. You know, because it was the Lord's anointed. You see? And David never tried to, you know, make a play for the throne. It fell in his lap. You know, that was his lot. You see? But you see, as soon as she said that dumb shit, all right, David went stupid. He was like, he went straight to Saul. Like, look, Most High gave me the kingdom from your daddy. You know, your weak ass daddy. All right, he was scared to fight Goliath. You know, David drunk, he talking shit. All right, your weak ass daddy was scared to fight Goliath. You forgot that, didn't it? You know how Jake had to put Eve in remembrance, man. You know, go ahead.
All right, verse 22. And I will yet be more vile than thus,
Yep.
and will be base in my own sight, and of the maid servants which thou hast spoken of, them should I be had in honor.
Bet. All the women you seen, you know, me dance in front of, I'm gonna show you something. All right, I'm gonna be held in honor by them. All right, I'm gonna deal with them. All right, since that's your biggest worry is these other women, I'm gonna go deal with all these women that you seen me, all right, dance before. You know? And what happened to Michal? Go ahead.
Therefore, Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child until the day of her death.
Yup, he put her ass away. All right? That was her last, that's another masculine energy, man. Stop arguing with these women, man. You know? Like I say, we can't tell you what to do in your household, man, but hey, we shouldn't be arguing with these damn women, man. Every day you come home, you going back and forth, you know, running your blood pressure up, stressed out, going back and forth. Man, fuck that shit, man.
Then most time when women when they argue, they reeling you in from reality to some dumb shit.
Yep.
Usually the stuff they pulling you into that got you arguing is minuscule.
Yep.
And you giving all your energy explaining yourself to something that's really minute, man.
Yep.
Let her argue with her friends, man.
Let her argue with herself.
She like to argue side Cynthia on to law school. You know?
No, I can't do it. That shit done. I retired from this shit. I refuse to do that, man. To argue with a woman, I refuse. I don't even argue with niggas, man.
Yeah.
You know? That's really because you, like you say, she drawing you to that feminine energy, man.
Yep.
You trying to prove a point that really don't mean nothing. She trying to prove a point that don't mean nothing. You know? The hell with that, man. You know, me personally, I'm done with that shit. Arguing and explaining every man. Hell no. I'm not, some questions I don't even answer. I don't even respond to. That's the answers. You know? So it was dealing with David, how he dealt with one of his wives who got out of line, you know, who got spotted, you know. So now we're gonna deal with Solomon. Get 1 Kings 2 and 1, and then we're gonna jump. Now this is how Solomon, you know, dealt with his mother. Now we're gonna go into the balance of this thing, man. You see? And this is the legacy that we're attaching ourselves to, man. You know, this is what's raising. The Bible's raising us to be men. The scriptures say we were born again. Now we being raised in true masculinity, man, according to the scriptures, man, not according to this society, man. You see? Yeah, you can read, bro.
1 Kings 2 and 1.
Yeah, 1 Kings 2 and 1.
1 Kings 2 and 1. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
Hey, be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. That's the first thing he told Solomon, man. And when you go into the word man in the Hebrew, all right, it's all right, Ayash, all right, which means man, But the main definition I want to go into, all right, is a champion. You see, show yourself a champion, man, which is really an elite amongst men. You see, and that's the energy that the house of David come in, man. You know, an elite amongst men.
I think the word champion is rooted back in challenges. Like it's defined in challenges. You know, when you overcome challenges, you become a champion, man. So part of the path of your manhood is really overcoming things, man. To overcome. You know, in our case, we're overcoming, we're enduring, but that puts us in our masculine frame, man. You know. Now read that again.
Yep. And then you're gonna jump down to say verse 8. Yeah, read 2 again.
All right, 1 Kings 2:2. I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
Yeah, and now when you go into the story, this is when King David's on the deathbed and he's, you know, telling Solomon, he giving Solomon instruction on how to establish his throne. Now, Solomon he really giving Solomon a hit list of who to take out. You know, when you read the account, you know, you can read it for yourselves and you can see, you know, what King David told Solomon to do. You know, even Joab, which was King David's nephew, but he knew, all right, that King David knew that Solomon was gonna have to kill Joab because Joab, you know, he was a live wire, you know, and he was a mighty man, but he was emotional. So King David knew that Joab had to go, which that's King Solomon's big cousin, you see, but it wasn't about emotions. Now we're gonna jump down. All right, we're gonna deal with Adonijah, which was Solomon's older brother who tried to usurp the throne. You know, while David was on his sick bed. You know, he tried to put himself on the throne. You know, so we're gonna deal with him, and we're gonna see, you know, how this went. Yeah, jump to 10.
All right, 1 Kings 2:10.
Yep.
So David slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David. In the days that David reigned over Israel 40 years, 7 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned he in Jerusalem. Then sat Solomon upon the throne of David his father, and his kingdom was established greatly. And Adonijah the son of Haggith came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, and she said, "Comest thou peacefully?" And he said, "Peacefully."
So this is Adonijah, and he coming, all right, to Bathsheba, which is Solomon's mother. All right. Now listen to how he gonna try to, you know, play, you know, upon, all right, Bathsheba. All right. Go ahead.
He said, "Moreover, I have somewhat to say unto thee." And he said, "Say on." And he said, "Thou knowest that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me, that I should reign. Howbeit the kingdom is turned about, and it's become my brother's, but it was his from Yahweh."
Yep. So now, when you understand what he's saying, he said, "How know it that the kingdom was mine?" Let you know he was still salty about the decision. You see, but Bathsheba not picking up on none of this. So he's running game, and he's trying to get at Solomon through Bathsheba. You know, and it's gonna go into why. Go ahead.
All right. And now I ask one petition of thee, deny me not. And she said unto him, "Say on." And he said, "Speak, I pray thee, unto Solomon the king, for he will not say thee nay, that he give me Abishai the son of Manite to wife."
Yeah, and this Abishai was the young woman that they brought before King David to see if he can get some heat. You know, she was that young woman, that young virgin that they brought before King David to see if he can get some heat when he was on his deathbed. You know, and Adonijah is asking Bathsheba to petition for Solomon if he can have Abishai, you know, which that he was more than likely trying to use as an angle for the throne. You know, well, I'm married to the last woman that came before David. You know, I was able to get heat before David. You know how niggas are, man. You know, go ahead.
And Bathsheba said, "Well, I will speak for thee unto the king."
Yep, go ahead.
Bathsheba therefore went unto King Solomon to speak unto him for Adonijah, and the king rose up to meet her, and bowed himself unto her, and sat down on his throne, and caused a seat to be set for the king's mother, and she sat on his right hand.
Yeah, so King Solomon, he gave honor to his mother, you know, and as you know that the kings of Israel, they sat on the throne by themselves. There wasn't no seat already there for no queen. Wasn't no queen. Even the wife of the king wasn't sitting beside him on the throne. The throne was there by itself. All right, a seat had to be brought just for his mother to sit down. You know, that's the heathens. All right, had seats for the queen. We didn't do that. You know. Go ahead.
Then she said, I desire one small petition of thee, I pray thee, say me not nay. And the king said unto her, ask on, my mother, for I will not say thee nay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And she said, let Abishag the Shunammite be given to Adonijah thy brother to wife.
Yeah, so Bathsheba is coming to Solomon petitioning for Adonijah, all right, for Abishag. And she like, I'm going to ask you something, don't tell me no. So she's really like, you know, she agrees with Adonijah because she doesn't see things, all right, from a viewpoint of a king. You see, this is the benefits of being raised by your father, all right? What the first thing King David told him at the beginning of the chapter, show yourself a man. He seen how David handled it. You think Solomon didn't know about that story with McCall? You know how Jake talk. Boy, you know how your daddy did. You know? See, he had a reference point. You see, he showed you he showed you he loved her. He honored his mother. He loved her. Because he was like, you know, ask me. I ain't going to tell you. No, you know, you my mother. But then when she asked him that,
he picked up on the game.
He picked up on the game.
Oh.
You see? And then this is his response. Go ahead.
And King Solomon answered and said unto his mother, and why dost thou ask Abishag the Shunammite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also, for he is my elder brother, even for him, and for Abithar the priest, and for Joab the son of Zeruiah. Then King Solomon swore by Yahweh, saying, the Most High do so to me, and more also, if Adonijah have not spoken this word against his own life.
Yeah, so he didn't, you know, he wasn't persuaded by his mother. See, Adonijah was trying to play on Solomon's emotions, all right, through his mother, you know? But no, he asked his mother, he was like, you know, why you come ask me that? I might well give him the kingdom. It went over her head. You see, showing you that she wasn't meant to make those decisions. So Simon like, look, I tell you what, read 23 again.
All right, 1 Kings 2 and 23. Then King Solomon swore by Yahweh, saying, Yahweh do so to me, and more also, if Adonijah have not spoken this word against his own life. Now therefore as Yahweh live, which have established me and set me on the throne of David my father, who have made me in the house, as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death this day.
Shall be put to death this day. I'm not going to play with this guy, you know, because he's a threat to the throne. Because when you in rulership, emotions out the window. You in control of other nations. You ain't got time to be wrestling and arguing with this nigga. No, I'm going to put this nigga to death, man. You know?
Then being aware that somebody in your dominion is making a move on you.
Yeah.
Somebody's playing themselves like a chess piece trying to get to your position as the king.
Yeah. We'll put this nigga to death.
Yeah.
All right? Like, you know, mama, this over you. This you know, this man affair. I'm gonna put this nigga to death. He gonna ask you shit else. After the day, you know? Read 25. That's it, bro.
And King Solomon sent by the hand of Benaiah, I read that again. And King Solomon sent by the hand of Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and he fell upon him that he died.
He fell upon night. You know, that's it.
They was pulling that Luca Brasi. Well, Luca Brasi got this from this.
Yep.
And follow upon him.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Hey, read it was 9/11. That's it, bro. Hey, because this is what's coming back, man. And that's the energy we coming into, man. And see, not being ruled over by our wives and our mothers, and, you know, because that's what we were raised by, but we done broke that. That's part of breaking that yoke, you know, breaking those bonds. You see, being influenced by women. Go ahead.
Amos 9 and 11. In that day will I raise up In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof.
Yep.
And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as the days of old.
And that's what's happening, man. It begins with the eternal. You see, we getting that masculinity back. You know, we getting that spirit of, you know, wanting the best of the best, you know, or do without until.
And then thinking about the results of the situation as opposed to the emotional aspect.
Yep.
You
know, so hey, this is what we at with it, man. We reclaiming our masculinity, man. This is a response to the Elder Apostle Gabar. You know, you can watch his video. You know, it was a walk and talk on the GMS Mailbag series, his new channel. You know, it's GMS Mailbag series, all one word. You know, his new channel that he's going to be posting on. You know, they took down the daily edification, daily exhortation, you know, so you can go watch the original video. You know, it's a walk and talk, you know, which inspired this video, man. You know, because that's what we're doing as men. We're reclaiming that masculine energy of our forefathers of that house of David, man. And you see, they didn't play the radio, man. All right? They weren't with that shit, you know? So this was it, man. You know, you brothers, you know, you keep striving, keep growing, you know, because at the end of the day, all right, the women will enjoy the kingdom that the men, all right, are building. You see? So focus on your purpose and building and let things be added to you, man. You know, however it go. You know, don't force the course of the river. Don't be giving energy, you know, to these women, putting yourself in a position, you know, where you, all right, or giving her worship or being a peasant unto her, man. You know? And we all fell victim of it, man. We all fight against these things, man. You know? But keep applying it, man. You know? You got it, boy.
And with that, we hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Once again, we want to give our honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, Kakodash. Double honors to our apostles, great millstone, well. Peace and blessing to the house of David the elect. Abba, Abba, Kwame Shalom.
Shalom.